Hey guys, this is my channel, Let the Sun Shine, and I just want to talk about science. Ruling people or trying to rule people in the name of science, especially medical science, that has to do with our human bodies, is no different than trying to rule over people with religion. It's no different. It's no different. Hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago, the great men, the great thinkers, philosophers, were often involved in philosophy, religion, science, all that was all interconnected. It was like one. Because how can you study the things around you, the human body, without also questioning the origins of what you're studying, the roots of what you're studying? So that alone, causes science or science from the world system, the mainstream science, to have a religious aspect to it, an atheistic aspect. And I believe atheism is still considered religion. So science is still religion. Science stems from philosophies, the philosophies of man. So I think that there needs to be a separation between healthcare science, medical science, and state to preserve bodily autonomy and conscience, especially when the science promoted by the government also has a tinge, not just a tinge, also is coded with morality, with a type of morality. Because yes, they associate a type of morality with their health sciences. If you do this, you're a good person because you're protecting others according to our system of belief, of theory. And if you don't, then you're bad, right? It's the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Because it's the only way that man has to rule over other men, is the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Because we're still in this world system. We're in this world. And Jesus Christ has not returned yet. And the new heaven and earth has not come down yet. So while we're here living in this world, we're not of the world. But this world is ruled by the God of this world, Satan, through the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, right? I mean, they would argue, well, how else are we going to rule over man? Man ruling over man is always going to be kind of corrupt, especially when he's using the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Because it's up to what they think is good, what they think is evil. And in the healthcare system right now, it's perverted. So we have to preserve bodily autonomy, conscience. And my statement is science becomes religion when all are forced to believe in its works, and all are demanded or commanded to take up its practices in their personal lives. That is when this realm of science steps into being religion. You're asking everyone to believe. All these people participating in this science, in this medical science, they're doing it by faith. They're not doing it because they read the studies, because they read the medical book, medical literature, and they deciphered for themselves, is this right or wrong? They're doing it because they believe. They believe in that doctor. They believe in that system of healthcare. We need medical freedom because some people do not believe in that system. They believe in another system with another paradigm, another way to look at the human body that honors God, that comes from God, and that doesn't come from evolution, that doesn't stem from godlessness and atheism. I don't see how we can get any full truth out of areas in science that don't first acknowledge God. How are we taking everything that NASA says as truth when they don't acknowledge Jesus Christ, when they don't acknowledge God who made all things by the word of his power? You know, how do we acknowledge, how do we, expect the full truth from a healthcare system that doesn't acknowledge God, that's rooted in atheism, that's rooted in saying that we didn't come from God, that we came from a big bang and monkeys? You know, NASA says that the sun was made first. That's not true. That's not true. That goes directly against the word of God, which says that the sun was made on the fourth day, I believe, after the dry lands and the seas and the firmament, the heavens. NASA says the sun was first and the earth rotating around the sun. No, that's not true. That's not true. And Christians are doing this too. Christians, our brethren, they look at these people and they worship them because they have authority. They seem to have authority. The Bible talks a lot about this kind of stuff. The philosophies of man, vain deceits, casting down these vain imaginations. So, yeah, namely Christians are still worshiping the world system in a way because they think all the medical system is all heroic, and everything they say is the whole truth. They don't realize that their philosophies of that system, and there's other healthcare systems that do acknowledge God, So, yeah, I pray that God helps us to all not to be deceived, because that's the thing about deception, right? It's tricky, and you don't know when you're deceived. So, yeah. Lastly, I just want to end again to wrap it up by saying that about science becoming religion. So our government is pushing this so-called science. They're taking advantage of people's bodies in the name of so-called science. And they're asking everyone to believe. And that's not right. You can't ask everyone to believe. You can't ask everyone to have faith because you're violating the First Amendment.